Hi there, I'm Norene Freeman, and I am so happy to be back with you again. The book I'd like to read from this morning is called Nearing 90 and Other Comedies of Late Life by Judith Viorst. I figure so much of the time I read for the young at heart and the very young. This time, this is definitely for the young at heart. The first one, on Nearing 90. I'm past my sell-by date. I hate to contemplate that soon self-driving cars will rule the world. My social network skills are whatever less than nil is, and I still can't set my phone on airplane mode. This world of drone and bot confuses me a lot. The next best thing will just make me perspire. Ambition's ship has sailed, and I rarely get derailed by fervid fantasies of wild desire. But life's crown is old age, so I won't slink off the stage. Although not always with it, I'm still here. And since I plan to stay, the role I hope to play is Queen Elizabeth, not King Lear. This is called In Praise of the Double Bed. Waking up at my age is already an achievement. Having finally fallen asleep with assorted pains, palpitations, and other precursors of doom that for yet another day have proven not fatal. My gummy eyes peer anxiously at the blurry numbers of the bedside clock, straining without my glasses to determine if it's a sufficient 7:20 a.m. or merely a miserable 25 to 4, which is too late for Ambien and too soon to get up. My husband, lying beside me, snorts, stirs, sinks back into slumber, while I mobilize to climb out of our high double bed, our old-fashioned brass double bed, so small in contrast to the copious, sprawling king size, but making it possible over long decades of marriage for many a marital quarrel to be resolved. By a knee, accidentally bumping against a thigh, by a hand, accidentally brushing across a breast, by a toenail, accidentally scraping a shin, because there's not enough room in a double bed to fully retreat to my side and to his side, and because, though angry back turns towards angry back, our tushies will inevitably make contact as we try and fail to sulk the night away. This one is called What We Still Argue About. He thinks he can read the New York Times and still give me his undivided attention. He only says that I look good when I stand in front of him asking, "So, how do I look?" And he continues to claim, despite compelling evidence to the contrary, that his mother was actually an excellent cook. And when he's telling a story he shouldn't be telling and I'm kicking him under the table, he doesn't shut up. He hollers, "Why are you kicking me?" He doesn't believe that leftovers should be subject to any statute of limitations. He doesn't believe that reading the directions might help him to figure out how to work the remote. He cannot resist correcting me every single time I mispronounce a word or mess up a quote. And when I'm gently suggesting that he probably would prefer to not run over that mother and child in the crosswalk, you wouldn't believe what he says about my suggestion. He's hot when I'm cold, and cold when I'm hot. We continue to be thermostatically incompatible. I turn the lights on. He turns the lights off. And if I break a hip in the dark, it will be on his head. And if there should be an afterlife, we'll still be having arguments after we're dead because one of us, I'm not naming names, is more difficult than the other of us. And besides, what would a marriage be like with nothing to argue about? This one is called the graduation brunch. There's the vegan, the vegetarian, the kosher, the gluten-free, the one who's allergic to peanuts, the one who's allergic to shellfish, and the one who shouldn't be sitting next to her former husband's wife, who shouldn't be sitting next to her husband's ex-in-laws. Well, there's also the one on antidepressants, the one on probation, the hyperactive twins whose parents were told no kids were invited but brought them anyway, the cousin who's suing his cousin over a real estate deal gone bad, the cousin who's countersuing that cousin, the aunt describing in vivid detail her hernia operations to the uncle with plenty to say about his prostate, and the graduate who's on the back porch ingesting something he shouldn't be ingesting. There's also the one who converses only with his iPhone, the one who converses only about the Tao, the one in recovery sharing her life story, the one in roofing handing out business cards, the sister who's conspicuously engaged in make-out activities with her new girlfriend, the brother who's calling everyone who didn't vote for his candidate morally bankrupt, the mystery guest who has finished his 4th Bloody Mary and is working his way through his 7th mini quiche, and the grandparents of the graduate who are old enough to know that the only response to all of this is rejoice. At the nursing home, she gets on the crowded crosstown bus to visit him once a day. Though there's never a seat and people push and shove you, she goes without complaint or fuss in order to hear him say, I don't know who you are, but I know I love you. Okay, at the playground. That woman in the sundress and the sneakers, that woman with the hearing aid in her ear, that short of breath, red-of-face woman who's running here and there in the heavily humid 90-plus degrees heat, that woman who is somehow evading a skinny 12-year-old boy and another who's going on 14 as she sweatily dribbles the basketball to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right again. Well, that woman who, though in urgent need of an air-conditioned room and a glass of iced tea, now aims and jumps and fails to make the shot. Her signature underhand nowhere near the net shot, which brings her personal best to 0-15. That fool for love woman who recklessly said yes to her 2 grandsons when they begged her to go to the playground with them to shoot hoops, that would be me. The remains of the day. It's okay to find your missing keys in the pocket of your raincoat. It's not okay to find them in the freezer, which means as of now, I am definitely okay. And having considered all that is gone and compared it with all that remains, I've decided that I definitely want to stay a little, or maybe even a whole lot, longer. I've still got several new sunsets to see and more gourmet meatloafs to make. And there are those, and they know who they are, who still need my advice. I'd want to keep hugging my family. I'd like to keep drinking a good Chardonnay, and finally lose those damn 7 pounds would be nice. I'd still be reading the papers and still hollering at the TV, still hoping for better days and better news. Mellow would be an adjective rarely applicable to me. Diffident wouldn't describe me expressing my views. And if there should come a time when my granddaughter finds my keys in the freezer, well, that won't necessarily mean that I'm fatally old. Some people, I tell her, keep the keys in the pocket of their raincoat. I prefer to keep my keys very cold. This is called Not Especially Spiritual. I hope this isn't too racy for you all. When my oldest friend Phyllis was dying, I went to visit her, holding her hand as I sat by her hospice bed. Is there anything final, I asked, that we should be talking about? Probably not, she answered, shaking her head. Why don't we just forget about final anythings and count the number of guys we've slept with instead? So we laughed, we sighed, we cringed and counted our way up to how many? None of your business, till we were done. Not especially spiritual, but so much fun. This is called Warning, or maybe a love song for my husband. Each morning, I get up before you and stand by your side of the bed. I'm checking your chest to make sure you are breathing. Still breathing. Not dead. Well, the reason I worry about you is widowhood's not my plan B. I don't intend living without you, so don't you dare die before me. Of course, you're a pain in the ass, dear. Go show me a husband who's not. But on all the others, I'll pass, dear, and stick with the guy that I've got. And yes, we have what are called issues, not always resolved peaceably. But spare me the tears and the tissues. Don't you dare die before me. My words aren't meant to disparage those ladies who live on their own, but after 6 decades of marriage, I'd rather not go it alone. The sentiment here may not thrill you, but listen, my love, carefully. Keep staying alive, or I'll kill you. Don't you dare die before me. Where's this one? Okay, we have one more. My legacy. Since it's looking as if my legacy isn't shaping up to be peace on earth and universal health care, here's what I'm hoping to be remembered for. Showing up when I say I'm showing up. Sticking with what I started until it's done. Sending Valentines to all the children in our family until they reach the age of 21. And never, ever leaving the house without eyeliner. Playing a relentless game of Scrabble. Keeping the secrets I promised I would keep. Being able to laugh about the bad things that happened to me, though not before I first whine and weep and rail against my fate and blame my husband. Doing work I'm able to be proud of. Making a truly transcendent matzo ball. Coming to terms with mortality, though to be perfectly honest, I'm still not feeling all that thrilled about dying. Coming to terms with not feeling thrilled about dying. And watching over the people that I love. Grateful they're watching over me as well. Enjoying whatever there is to enjoy until that final time's up, closing bell. And hoping, just a reminder, that I'll be remembered.